What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Horseshoe podcast. I am Matt, your host, and today we're just going to recap the draft. We're going to go through the entire draft, kind of give our, biggest surprises, players that we think might surprise others, some of the worst picks we think that happened in the draft. We're going to get all into that stuff. But before we do, I'm going to introduce Papa West. It's Jacob. Jacob, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic after watching that Daniel Jones video. Anytime I can laugh at Daniel Jones, it makes my day better. Plus, my beard is kind of growing back. It's actually noticeable. And my hair's growing back too, kind of. Just not right
Starting,
here. No,
starting to
why not
come.
here? Yes.
Absolutely. And we will be joined maybe by Jonathan later today. Of course, when he joins the stream, we'll add him in there. So, yeah. So I guess we can start out with, I guess maybe the winners of the draft. I'll go to you first. What were a team or two that you think won the draft this year?
First off, it's hard to say that not the Patriots, the Buccaneers did not have a great draft. Um, they didn't need much. I don't think they needed anybody. But getting Joe Tryon, the outside linebacker, and then also Kyle Trask in at quarterback in the first two rounds, definitely a good pick. I also like the Jaguars draft, building up the offense. Of course, we knew Trevor Lawrence was going to be first. Getting Travis Etienne with their next pick. I believe what number was that? I have it pulled up, so I should know exactly. Number
I think it was,
25.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and that Clemson offense has been killer, and you had Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne being the reason why that offense was so good. And then they also picked up the did they pick up a wide receiver second round? No, they picked up a cornerback.
Yeah.
Which we were saying their secondary was struggling. So I definitely like their draft, and then I also like the Jets draft, which is weird saying anything from the Jets is good. Zach Wilson, again, we knew it was going to happen, and then Elijah Vera Tucker, lineman outside of USC. I really like
Mhm.
that pick, and then they were the team that picked up Elijah Moore in the second overall pick of the second round, which we all thought should have been taken in the first round. So
Mhm.
I think those were the three biggest winners.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Jets. That's one that I personally am surprised that they had a good draft, but you know what? I think they realized, we screwed up our chance with Sam Darnold. Yeah, Zach Wilson is similar to Sam Darnold. Let's actually help him this time. I think the benefit with Zach Wilson is he's going into a team that already had a pretty good offensive lineman from last year's draft with Becton, and of course they add more to that offensive line later on. Um, and look, I'm going to throw the Colts out there too. I know there's some surprises, but why did they win? They have Chris Ballard. Has Chris Ballard had a bad draft yet? No. They filled in a lot of the needs. They didn't go offensive tackle because there's a better offensive tackle out in the free agency. So they decided if there really isn't an offensive tackle worth going after in the second round, let's add to that defense. So defensive line is going to be so much better now because now you have DeForest Buckner going after the quarterback. You have Kwity Paye going after the quarterback. When he gets healthy, you're going to have Dio going after the quarterback. It's going to be really difficult to double team. So I think you got to throw them in there as winners because not only did they do that, they get a pretty solid quarterback in the sixth round to potentially be a backup or third string. So if Carson Wentz goes down, you can either put him in or you have Eason to throw in. They drafted a big receiver in the seventh round, one that really wasn't looked at a whole lot because he did go to a smaller school. But if you watch his game tape, the guy's a monster. And they got their offensive tackle in the seventh round. And it's a Penn State guy, and he's pretty good as well. He's not terrible. So I have to throw them in there. I think Jacksonville Unfortunately, they had a good draft. I'm one of the people. I still think we need to see Trevor Lawrence actually play in an NFL game before we say he's going to be a great player. Because I know there's a lot of people saying that he's this like generational quarterback, but he has made a good amount of throws in college that were pretty dumb. I mean, he still wins and he's still getting his numbers, and there's a reason why he's number one. But still, I think we need to wait and see what he does against an NFL defense before we do that. And I'll throw the Patriots in there too as a winners. I think they had a really good draft. Obviously, they got their quarterback in Mac Jones. They didn't have to trade up. They didn't have to trade back, and they filled in more needs. So, yeah, to me, I think it's Colts, Jets, Patriots, and then Jaguars are my biggest winners of the night. So, with that being said, I guess let's go into some of the more surprising picks. Some of the guys that were drafted or some of the teams that made, whether it was a trade for a player that really surprised you or not. What were some of the biggest surprises of the night, or I guess of the weekend?
Yeah. I mean, the two biggest, especially night one, if y'all were watching, y'all saw our reactions with two major picks in the first round. Alex Leatherwood, the tackle of Alabama, going to the Raiders. Like, if all of our, yes, the Raiders had a great offensive line. They got rid of everyone. It's great to get more people out there. Christian Darrisaw was still on the board. Like none of us had him going in the first round. Everyone thought he would go later, and then just randomly 17th overall. And the other really wild one that night was Kadarius Toney, Florida receiver, going to New York. I get it. He's a really talented receiver. Both him and Kyle Pitts were one reason the Florida offense was as good as they were. There was some debate on better wide receivers out there. I still don't think that the Giants needed a receiver, especially because Christian Darrisaw was still on the table, and we were all saying, "Hey, let's get him some help." Then I'm also surprised at just how so many people fell. Looking at round two, Tevin Jenkins, pretty sure we all had him going in the first round in our mock draft. Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle, Elijah Moore, Trevon Moehrig, which I will say, Raiders, way to redeem yourself by that garbage first pick by picking up the number one safety in the entire draft, stealing the best safety. And then Azeez Ojulari and Jeremiah Karamoa, your favorite person. At least he went to your favorite school. Just a couple of linebackers that really did fall a lot further than they should have.
Right. Yeah, for me, I do agree with Alex Leatherwood. Look, I think Alex Leatherwood is going to be a good offensive lineman in NFL, but like you said, you still had Darrisaw available, and I know there's a lot of teams that are a little not like too worried, but there's a red flag with him because there's work ethic issues from time to time when he's in games and whatnot. So maybe that's why he fell as far as he did. But I think the fact the Raiders went with Leatherwood instead of like a Tevin Jenkins or any of the other guys that were first round projected offensive linemen. So that was a big surprise. I think another was the fact that Kwity Paye fell to 21. I had him going in the top 15. I thought Minnesota was going to take him, and then they traded back. And I thought, maybe the Giants would have took him, or some other team would have took him that was in the teens. So that was a surprise that he fell as low as he did. And then Toney, I agree. I'm surprised he went at 20 when you still had Bateman available. You had Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore, three guys that I think are better than Toney. And I think Toney's a really good receiver. I just think those guys are going to be better in the NFL. So that surprised me. And then another was the Saints drafting Ian Book in the fourth round. I had him falling like to the 6th or 7th round. Like, I didn't think he was going to fall to a number 4, but I do think the Saints is a perfect spot for him because with Ian Book, I think if he's going to have a chance to start anywhere, I would rather go to a team that has Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston than go to like a team with, Patrick Mahomes or, just a team that's looking for a backup that can be somewhat reliable. So those were some of the surprises. And I think another was the Joker, Jeremiah Osuwu Koromora, going in the second round. I thought he was going to go in the first round too. I thought he was going to go like maybe to Washington. I'm surprised Washington took was it Collins, or did Collins go somewhere else?
It was the Kentucky.
Oh, okay. It yeah, I can't remember his name, but I'm surprised that he went. Okay. Yeah, I mean Davis is good. I'm surprised they took Davis over Jeremiah, who I honestly think is the best linebacker or the second best, depending on what Micah Parsons does. But I guess there's some heart thing or whatever. Like he had some issue, and that's why he fell to the second round. But still, I thought somebody would have took him ahead of time. So yeah, Cleveland needed a linebacker. They got him in the second round. That's a win for Cleveland right there alone. So, yeah. And I forgot another team I should have threw out there for winners of the draft was the Lions. I thought the Lions had a surprisingly good draft this year. They get Penei Sewell. They add to that team. I think that team is going to be pretty solid this upcoming season. So, not great, but I think solid. I think Jared Goff might be okay. But those are some of the surprises. I guess now the next thing I want to do is what players that were drafted do you think landed in the best spot? I already kind of threw Ian Book out there. 4th round, yes, but if he's going to start, best place would be there. But for you, what were some guys that you think landed in the perfect spot?
So one later pick that I really liked, of course, was the Eagles pick.
Mm-hmm.
Where was he at? And of course, I can't find it. But they picked up the Memphis running back in like the 4th or 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 5th round, Kenneth Gainwell, Memphis running back. The Eagles are known for having really small running backs.
Yeah.
Boston Scott, Darren Sproles, just really small guys, really great speed. Don't start, but when your entire team gets injured, they are very good, very great depth picks. And I really did enjoy seeing him go there, especially because he grew up an Eagles fan, or at least that's what he says. Then I also did like the Eagles did pick up some depth on their defense, that defensive line, which they got in the 4th round, stuff like that. But it's really hard to say, hey, this guy landed in the perfect spot, just because you really don't know how everything's going to work out. And I mean, there were a lot of great picks. And really, you can get just about anyone to work on any team.
True. For me, I'll throw in some of the first round guys too. Trey Lance is one that I'm going to say. I think he landed in the perfect spot because whether he's ready to go or not, I think, whether he's not ready, he can sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a year. He can really learn that Shanahan offense, and then he'll come in whenever he's ready, whether it's halfway through the season or next year, and he'll be ready to go. And I think he'll, dominate from there. Maybe it won't be quite as good as Patrick Mahomes, but maybe kind of the whole where Kansas City went from Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes, maybe the 49ers go Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance, and you have similar success to where while he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes, they can maybe make a run like Kansas City did that one season. So I think Trey Lance, he fits perfect there. And if he starts and he's ready to go, he has some good guys to throw to. He's going to have a really good defense. I think it's a great fit for any rookie quarterback in general. Would have been San Francisco. Um, Another guy I'm going to throw in there, Eagle Devontae Smith. I think he's clearly going to be the number one guy there, and getting to work with Jalen Hurts, I think is going to be good for him too. I think Jalen Hurts is going to throw to him quite a bit, so that's somebody I think that is going to really dominate and maybe could be in the running for offensive rookie of the year, depending on what these quarterbacks do and some of the running backs. So I think he fits perfect there. Another guy, I guess I throw Ian Book. I think best chance to start is going to be New Orleans, unless you get to a crap team, but still, there is that. I think Mac Jones, he fits the, New England quarterback, the type of quarterback they look for. And he's going to have guys to throw to, he's going to have tight ends and a few receivers, but, it's going to be a good spot for him. And then I think another place, fourth rounder, another Colt, Kylan Granson. That offense on Indy loves their tight ends. They're going to use all three tight ends. Sometimes the number one tight end on the team is going to be used the most. And then the next game could be the number 3 tight end. I think he's going to replace Trey Burton. He's fast for a tight end. He's athletic. I think he's going to really thrive in that offense. And if he doesn't, then, they have other tight ends. But I think just how they play with that offense, he's going to really come in, and I think he's going to dominate. So those are really the guys I can think of. We're actually flying through this now. I'm thinking about it.
I do want to add someone real quick,
yes.
Since I'm looking at all this. I kind of talked about him with the winners of the draft. Kyle Trask going in the last pick in the second round. He is a mini Tom Brady, just in overall being a pocket passer, not super mobile. He's always been not the most well-known person on there. He was a backup in high school. He was a backup in college until Philippe Franks had the wildest injury ever and then took everything by storm. It's a lot like Tom Brady. Whether or not he plays at the level of Tom Brady,
right,
you don't know. But he does have the perfect person teaching him since he is going there. And I definitely could see him being a very highly rated quarterback in his career.
He might be. What's going on, JDW? How you doing, man? He might. I think for Kyle Trask, I think sitting behind Brady is a good idea because, you're sitting behind, I think everybody has, agreed upon it now, the greatest quarterback to play the game. And you're going to be learning that Bruce Arians offense for at least 2 seasons, if not 10, depending on when Brady wants to retire. And it's not an easy offense to learn. So if you're going to come in as a rookie and you're going to be the guy in a few years, if you're going to play in Bruce Arians offense, it's good to, learn that offense as you're sitting and doing that, all that good stuff. Say we're doing pretty good, just doing NFL draft discussions. I don't think I asked how you were doing earlier today, Jacob. How are you doing today?
I'm sure you did. I'm right. I had today off, so
hey,
I'm
that's
doing
good.
laundry. Yeah,
that's good. That's very good. I go to work in a few hours, so there's that. Yeah, I totally agree. If Kyle Trask is gonna have a good NFL career, this is probably the spot for him to go. No, I guess now let's go to the losers of the draft now. I wanted to start off on positive. Let's get into negative before we do. I think people are just saying it to say it. I think Carson Wentz knows Sam Ehlinger. If he's gonna move up in roster spots, it's gonna be as the backup. I don't think Carson Wentz is worried about Sam Ehlinger taking the spot, unless Carson Wentz, doesn't play well. I don't think he has anything to worry about. I think it's just people, similar to when Michael Pittman said he wanted to keep his number. I think it's people being, acting like that, trying to make a story out of something that really is nothing. And then
I will just say, as someone who has grown up in Texas and has a lot of friends who still live in Texas,
yeah,
and still watches the Red River Showdown just to
Yeah.
watch Texas get their butts handed to them. Sam Etlinger it is an okay pick. He's a lot like Colt McCoy,
Yeah.
who did have a pretty good career in college. Not as good as Colt McCoy, but like in that specific game too,
Mhm.
he definitely had some great drives.
Right.
But he struggled against the Oklahoma defense. Fun fact: Oklahoma does not have a defense. No one in the Big 12 has a defense.
Right.
He is just a nice little depth pick. It is all he is. People can say what they want about Carson Wentz being scared because they
Mhm.
picked up a quarterback. Every team picks up quarterbacks in those late rounds just for depth because
Yeah.
they're available.
True. Yeah, and I agree. It's people trying to get clicks. That's all it comes down to. They just want to cause a story. They want to try to improve their thing. Look, I could have made a video easily. Just completely making it up, saying that Carson Wentz is terrified. But no, I'm not going to do that because Carson Wentz isn't terrified, and people know that he's not going to be terrified. It's just the same thing. I agree. I think just based on how Ballard kind of talked about both of them, I think Ballard's a little higher on Ellinger than he is on Eason, just based on how he talks. Because Ballard seemed to really, love kind of what he offers. He, saying how he's a winner, all this stuff. Kind of reminded me how Brian Kelly was, loving on Ian Book, saying how he's a winner and whatnot. But no, I like the pick because you're going to need 3 quarterbacks. We had 3 quarterbacks technically with Morton, but Morton's going to be released, and I think either Ellinger or Eason's going to be put on the practice squad, or they're going to both be on the roster because they need to be prepared for the COVID thing. But yeah, let's get into the losers. JDW's loser of the draft is the Saints. I'll let Jacob talk first, and then we'll go into that. Yeah, that is true. He's never been keen, but because he was always saying things like, he is a 4th-round pick. We got to remember that he's a 4th-round pick. But Sam Ellinger, he was just like, he's a winner. He knows how to win. He played big games, all that good stuff. But yeah, who were the losers of the draft for you, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Texans. When you don't have any picks, it's really hard to make good, solid picks. And they didn't make a lot of great picks.
No.
I mean, their biggest, getting Davis Mills, the quarterback out of Stanford, in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
You have Deshaun Watson, whether or not he's going to stay there or not.
Yeah.
But you just picked up Tyrod Taylor.
Yep.
Hey, fun fact, let's get some people around them to make Deshaun want to stay, first off, but if he doesn't, to make Tyrod successful. And they didn't do that. They just, hey, let's pick a random person, kind of is how it felt like. And then another big loser for me would be the Cowboys. Everyone's biggest hate towards them this year was they had a bad defense, but they really did have a lot more issues. Years ago, they had the best offensive line of all time, it seemed like, and they just let people go. Their left tackle, I cannot think of his name, but has just consistently gotten injured. Has not been at the level that he's been in. He wears a leg brace on his arm. Who does that?
Right.
No, I imagine his arm's huge. But like they did pick up Micah Parsons, which I love that pick. That was a great pick.
True.
Pick, though, it was just they picked up defenders, but not great defenders. Like there could have been better stuff to pick up.
Right. For me, and this is really a and I'll throw this up there. I do agree. I think Eason has the arm strength and he has the ability to potentially be a starter, but he definitely doesn't have the ethic Ballard wants. But for me, I think some of the losers. I agree with JDW. I think the Saints they didn't really have a great draft this year. The Broncos is another team I'm going to throw out there because and this is really going to depend on if they get Aaron Rodgers or not. I'm starting to kind of lean towards there's not going to be a trade, and either Rodgers is going to sit out and retire, or he'll, just play and, be fine with it. But if the Broncos do not get Aaron Rodgers, I think they lost this draft because you could have gotten Mac Jones, you could have gotten Justin Fields, you could have gotten a good quarterback that could basically be ready to go day one. Because I got to see more from Drew Lock. He did have some players that he would rely on get hurt. Get out of here. So that's obviously not a good thing. So it's really going to depend on that. The Texans, I agree with you on the Texans because, they drafted a quarterback, but they drafted a quarterback that I don't even think was one of the best few available at that point. I don't think he's awful.
Starting in round 2 or after the 5 were picked up, he was the best available quarterback. But again, there weren't great quarterbacks out there.
Right. It's just I watched whenever I watched Stanford play with him and whatnot, because they were on TV whenever I was just looking for a game to watch, he really didn't impress me all that much. It wasn't like he was bad or anything, but Stanford didn't do anything really with him as quarterback. They never really, went on a, big run. They were never in contention to maybe finish in the top, 3 or 4 of their conference. It just based on how they looked. I honestly would have took Ian Book over him. I think Ian Book is a better quarterback. And, I know people, talk crap on him, but he is the winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history, and he's been in the college football playoffs twice. He has played as good or better competition. So I would have went with him. I think Ellinger is probably on the same page. I think Ellinger would have been a better call. I think the Raiders is another team. Yeah, they got Leatherwood and whatnot, but I don't think they really had a great draft either.
Their only good pick was Tevin Moehrig.
Yeah, that was about it.
Yeah.
Right. And then I agree with that. And then Javonte Mills. I liked him a lot. He was like in North Carolina, he was dominating. I like Najee Harris just a little more though, but I have him as my second running back, even over Travis Etienne. Just watching him play and then watching Travis Etienne play. Because when what's his face, Trevor Lawrence was out, he didn't have as strong of a performance. You figure, with Travis Etienne, he would play even better. And against like Boston College, he played good, but they went up against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame pretty much had him shut down that entire game. But when Trevor Lawrence came in, he was great. When he wasn't in, he was good. He was really good, but he wasn't like better than Williams. And then I agree. They definitely could have
picked up a better offensive lineman than Leatherwood in the second round.
They could have drafted him in the first round, and then they could have drafted, any other offensive lineman in the second round. They could have maybe traded up, and got Jenkins before the Bears. Maybe they could have traded with Miami or whoever, and then got Liam Eichenberg. But they didn't do that. And they do. They love making those picks that are more of a reach, because they did it the last draft with Ruggs, but hey, who knows? Maybe he is the best offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But I do want to pull in because he just joined in. And I'll kind of ask him the earlier questions really quick. Jonathan, the Raptor Peck. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Very good, very good. Sorry I'm a bit late. To say is a bit overslept, but yeah. And very good this evening. Hello, Jacob.
So, hey, thank you very much, man. I hope so. It looks like we did get a couple people that started joining in beforehand. And then, how's it going? How you doing? Now I do want to ask Jonathan just real quick, as we go through the show, whatnot, we were asking specific questions for you. Who are some of the winners of this year's draft?
The winners of this draft, I'm actually gonna pick the Cleveland Browns. Actually,
yeah. You know what? Cleveland had a really good draft. Like I said, I forgot about when we were discussing that too. I forgot about Detroit. I think Detroit was one too, but yeah, Cleveland's another one because you're able to get that linebacker that you needed in the second round. The guy that was projected to go in the first round, you're able to get him in the second round. So yeah, I thought they had a really good draft too. Now the next question is, what were some of the surprise picks that just on the top of your head?
I would have said the Raiders, but to be fair, the Raiders are usually casual with reaching players, so I'm not going to use that. But I'm actually gonna pick. I know someone in the chat said they have a good draft, which half of it's true, but I actually put one pick as a bit surprising is Jacksonville get Travis Etienne.
Yeah, that surprised me too. That they were going to take Travis Etienne, and with that pick, yep, JDW's winners was Browns, Jets, and then Jags. Yeah, I agree. I think the Jags offense is, and this is assuming Trevor Lawrence is what is advertised. If he can play as good as we think he's going to, then yeah, he's definitely. Then Alex Leatherwood, that was the big surprise. But it's the Raiders; they like making those picks. And I don't know if you guys saw the GM was talking on NFL Network, or GM for the Raiders, and he was like, "Look, I saw a lot of people were kind of talking about our pick and whatnot. And it's like, listen, you're not in our room." He's like, we saw what we saw. We loved what he saw more than the guys are available. And look, maybe Leatherwood is going to be like the best offensive lineman in the draft. Who knows? I mean, at this point, he'll probably be the best offensive lineman on the Raiders because the Raiders don't have an offensive line. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, there you go. There's your big surprise. Yeah, I could see him being moved to guard too. We'll see. I think he's good. He didn't allow a lot of sacks like throughout his 4 years or 3 years, however many he played. I don't think he had a sack allowed last year. He was good. It's not like a bad player, but you could have got him in the second round. But is there any other surprises that you can think of, Jonathan?
Well, I would say maybe I will argue Kadarius Toney to the Giants because I thought with trading back in the first round for next year, I thought like maybe just get like an offensive line or something else on the D line of it. But they did address it on the second round, but they got Toney, which by the receiving core, you already have a stacked receiving core along with that. So I thought it was a little surprising along with that.
Right. And yeah, I was surprised Darisaw was passed up on for Leatherwood too. And I do agree with you. I was more surprised with Toney being taken because if they were going to take a receiver, which I had them taking a receiver in the first, or when they were originally at number 11, but I didn't think they were going to take Toney. I thought they would have took Bateman if they were going to go receiver. And I saw a lot of fans were upset, but I was always in on Paye. Paye was my number one guy going into the draft. I've always been big on the edge. Let's get our edge rushers first, then we can worry about left tackle. And look, I guess we didn't have to draft a left tackle in this class because we're going to get somebody in the draft or free agency. We're either going to get Fishers, it looks like, depending on what his physical is looking like, or we're going to get Leno, who was cut by the Bears recently. Say there was some I liked, but once we got to 54, there was no offensive tackle worth taking in the second or third round. I know fans were upset, but like I said, you can't force things or else it's never going to end up being good. They improved that defensive line. That defensive line is going to be really good. So there's that. Now for you, Jonathan, another thing we talked about earlier was what players we think were drafted in the best situations? Just based on any of the guys that were drafted, who you think has the best chance to succeed based on where they were drafted?
I think I actually have a couple in mind. So I think first I can name them very quickly. I pick Rashad Slater to the Chargers. They need a little trouble on the offensive line, so put him in there to protect Justin Herbert. That's a very good sign. And number two, I'm actually gonna pick. Number two is I'm picking Jalen Waddle to Miami, and I think they really need sort of like a number one receiver along with that, help with Tua. So I think that was a very good idea. And I'm going to pick the Jets draft picks, 2 first rounders actually, with Zach Wilson and Elijah Vera-Tucker. I think they were very good situations, with partially sort of like a restructuring the team with structure. So I think that would be very good right here. And also, I think my team's draft pick, Jamin Davis, to the football team, because it brings kind of learned along with that. It's a little bit still a bit raw in some instances, but I think I'll coach him up and make sure to get very much have that linebacker on the side.
Right. See, I do like the fit for Davis in Washington. I was surprised that he went to Washington. I thought Washington would have took Jeremiah instead, but look, he might go out there and just absolutely dominate. I mean, and look, I like the fit too. That just really surprised me, but I agree. Elijah Moore to the Jets. Look, I was surprised that he fell to the second round. And if you're going to go, to any team, the Jets is a great fit because he's going to be their number one guy. Zach Wilson is going to need people to rely on. I think he can rely on Elijah Moore. And I do agree with Vera-Tucker. You got Becton on that line. You got Vera-Tucker. The Jets are doing it how they should have done it from the beginning with Sam Darnold. They're drafting, people to protect him. And I think even though he reminds me a lot of Sam Darnold, I think Zach Wilson's going to have a much better chance of succeeding because they're helping him. And Sam Darnold's probably watching in Carolina like, what the fuck? You guys couldn't do this earlier? You couldn't do this for me? And I do agree. I think Toney is a first-round quality receiver. I was just surprised that he went as early as he did. I thought if he was going to go in the first round, it would have been Baltimore.
The Giants didn't need a number one overall quality receiver either. Yeah. They have good weapons.
Well, now this is something. Now we know Daniel Jones. You have no excuse at all. Yes, you had a tight end that dropped the ball a lot, but now you got a new tight end. You got Slayton. You got some good receivers there, and now you're gonna have Toney, who is a really good receiver, I think too. Yeah, if Daniel Jones can't figure it out this year, draft a quarterback next year. Hope that you fall within like the top 5 and take one of those quarterbacks because there's going to be some pretty solid quarterbacks. And a Waddle to Miami, yeah, makes perfect sense. I thought either him or Chase would have, been perfect. I think Waddle offers that explosiveness. He offers the explosiveness with his legs and everything. And I think he's going to be really difficult to stop in NFL. Same with Chase. I think they're both going to really do well. But it depends. Who's, Chase going to receive the ball from? Is it going to be Joe Burrow or is Joe Burrow going to get hurt because, they decided to go with Chase instead of Penei Sewell? We'll find out.
Even though the reports a couple of days ago that Burrow wanted Chase.
Right.
Take that assault.
Right. Say no, you're good, man. You're good. You're good.
Jonathan, I do have an issue with something you said earlier, though. You like the Jamin Davis pickup by the football team. I'm going to give you 2 names. I'm going to ask, who would you rather have, Jamin Davis or Azeez Ojulari? Or would you rather have Jamin Davis or Jeremiah Koromua?
On the Ojulari idea, I think he's just more edge than linebacker because our front 4 is pretty much very good with that. So I will discredit on that. JOK, though, it's interesting because when the reports went out there and he had some heart issue along with it. That's the reason sort of his stock went down. So basically, they were very much again worried right here. And also the reason why they took Jamin Davis because Juan loves some of the tangibles they had back in Carolina where he had Luke Kuechly. So I think he had sort of the scheme, the technique right here. I think he was looking at sort of the technique and skill when linebacker. That's the reason he took him over JOK though. So that's my take on it personally.
It was a huge reach, though. I hated that thing. I'm not gonna lie, which is weird because I hate the Washington football team, but I felt they could have done a lot.
I disagree with that. I just watched him throughout his few years. He's dominant. He was definitely the leader of that Notre Dame defense, and the Notre Dame defense was really good, especially this past season.
Being a great linebacker.
But yeah, he's a really good linebacker. And look, I at first disagreed with it because the Lions need that number one receiver because they have nobody, and they could have gotten Devontae Smith there, but at the same time, they need to have protection for their guy. So, which I blanking on his name. They have protection for Jared Goff. To me, I think he's gonna have that extra second or two. They're gonna have to, I don't know, maybe this is the long game. Maybe they're saying, look, we'll get a receiver next year. We're gonna have Goff for a couple years, or however long the contract is. Let's take that, awesome offensive lineman, which some were calling a generational type of tackle. Don't know if I agree with that, but okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. They should have took they should have taken Sewell, I thought. But and then I mean that might be the case, but I thought he fit Washington's defense, and then I thought he also fit Cleveland's, but no, I thought it was great. And then I'm gonna pull up your Rodgers thing. I'll throw this in there real quick. What are you guys' thoughts on Rodgers? For me, I'll start off with the Rodgers. I agree with them in the sense of, look, you haven't helped me for a while. You drafted my backup. I want to go somewhere where I think I can go out and just ball out and succeed. Whether it's the Raiders, which I wouldn't want to go to the Raiders if I was Rodgers, or the Broncos. I'm 100% on his side on this because they haven't done anything to help him. The last time they drafted a first-round wide receiver was what, 1865? So I'm totally on his side. It's like, I don't know. And then how you doing, Blue Nation? We're doing all good. But yeah, I'll let one of you guys go next. What was your thought on that?
It's amazing how great he has been. He just won the MVP award with no one on the team, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's had some. He has. I just blanked on the receiver.
Yes, Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams, yeah. And then Aaron Jones, a good receiver and a good running back, but that's it. And he's still able to have the best season ever. Falling short against the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game. But you always want what's best for someone, and being in Green Bay is not what's best for Aaron Rodgers right now. I do think what would be hilarious, though, is if he does nothing happens, and he ends up starting the regular season. Very first play of the game, he gets the ball, and he just takes a knee. It's like, wait, what's going on? Second play, he gets the ball and takes a knee. He's like, if y'all aren't trading me, I already told you I didn't want to be here. I don't know why I'm here. I'm not playing. And honestly, though, if I was the Packers, yes, you don't want to give up a once-in-a-generation talent like Aaron Rodgers. Would you rather get something for him or just have him quit football because of you?
Right. And I do agree. He has good receivers. I like Lazard. I do. But Lazard is, he can have those inconsistent moments. Like he's good, but he isn't the greatest. Now, I do want to throw this in there before I go to you, Jonathan, because Washington's your team. JDW threw this out. He thinks he might go to Washington. So first off, what are what are your thoughts on Rodgers? And then what if Rodgers gets traded to Washington? Like, just let me know. On a scale of I'm gonna freak out to, we're going to the Super Bowl. What is your, I guess your scale? Where do you land in that scale? Yeah, I can speak.
Okay, you put me in a hard spot, and I will get a 9 scale, but I'll be real. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Okay.
And I think he just basically have a no trade clause. So basically, the teams that he wants to do. You can tell he wanted to go to at least maybe the West Coast, a little bit near home. So I don't think you move her down right there. So we'll do that.
Look, apparently he hates his mom or whatever, so why not move somewhere where you're on the other side of the country from your mom?
Or basically a brand new family with Shailene Woodley. So
yeah, true. You got Shailene Woodley. It's going to be like what does she want to do? Where does she want to go? And then there we go. That would be something. If he goes to the Giants, that's scary. That Giants team wins that division, I think, for sure, and might make a run. Because they got a good defense. And then you put Rodgers there.
What if you see the Packers trade him for Deshaun Watson? Both quarterbacks complaining about a dysfunctional organization going to another dysfunctional organization.
Look, so if he goes to the Texans are automatically going to be better. I think they wouldn't be quite as good as the Packers are right now. So as far as like if they win the division, I don't think they win the division. Still, I still would have Indy winning the division because, you have Rodgers. They have, I don't even know who they have as receiver. They have a couple guys that work at FedEx, during the week, and then they go play for the Texans on Sunday. They really don't have anybody to throw to. The defense isn't that great at all. The team would be a playoff team, I think, but I just don't. I'm not as worried because the Colts were able to beat the Packers, I should say, with Rodgers, and that team was much better than what the Texans are right now, even with the Rodgers. I disagree. I think they're going to be really good. I think they can make a run for the playoffs, depending on what Lawrence does. I just don't think they're going to win that division yet. I think it's either Tennessee or Indies. Maybe they can jump ahead of Tennessee, but I don't think they win that division. Am I biased? Yes, but I just don't think they win that division. And I'm going to pull up some my thoughts on Eric Fisher. Would love it. A little worried about the injury. If he can bounce back from that and play at 80 to 90% of what he normally is playing at, I think that offensive line for Indy is going to be the best in the NFL, and we'll see how good it is. It could be the best, maybe, or one of the best, I should say, ever. But it depends. Can he bounce back? How healthy will he be? Can he play close to what he is? Because he's a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. So if you can add him to the mix, I don't see Carson Wentz getting touched. And then I'll pull up this one as well. I don't think they've moved on yet. I know they still have they're gonna have an interview and they're gonna get together with Fisher later this week. I think it's actually today or tomorrow. But I do agree. If it's not Fisher, I think they're gonna go all in on Leno. And still, I think you add Leno to that team. Yeah, Leno had issues in Chicago. I think he gets much better in Indy. I think he would fit a lot better with that team. So I would like that a lot. But yeah, and then with the Rodgers, he goes to the Giants. He has all those weapons. He's gonna have Barkley, the defense. I mean, that's a really good team. That's a really good team right there. And then they did. I just think I don't think they're gonna win the division. I mean, they might. Who knows? Maybe Trevor Lawrence goes out there and dominates, but I don't know. I got to see how Urban Meyer is as an NFL coach too. So I guess the next one we discussed, for you, Jonathan, who do you think were some of the losers of the draft? And then I'll get into the last question I had for everybody.
Some of the losers of the draft. I'm actually, well, some of it are not okay of it. Even some least favorite ones are interesting. I'm gonna pick the ones that has the least favorite draft capital. I'm actually gonna pick Seattle's draft because not only they have fewer picks, because wasn't the receiver they got was Dwight Eckledge, good down speed, drops a lot of balls. So it's sort of not a good idea, but you have a limited pick slot to use it. So I'm actually going to put it there because, and the other one is, even though the rest of their draft was okay for the most part, I still think they still have some glaring issues over here. Mainly is offensive line, which is the Steelers.
Okay.
And basically, they took Najee Harris, the first round pick, which they could have used an offensive line to at least make get a running back there. At least, yeah, you had Freiermuth in the second round, which is a good blocking tight end along with it. But still, it's not just for him to go for a running back. Is to basically to Big Ben though, which is not getting you out there at all. So,
I do agree they needed to improve that offensive line for Pittsburgh, but they did also need to get a running back, and they probably thought we could have gotten somebody in the second round because, like me, I thought there was going to be guys falling towards that 54, 55 spot that were going to be quality starting offensive linemen. So that was probably no, I didn't see that. Jake Ellinger. Jeez, yeah, I didn't see that. It's awful.
I didn't read that. It's so sad.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. That caught me off by surprise. Yeah. Say we gotta send thoughts and prayers out to not just Sam Ellinger, but the entire family. Yeah, that's awful. I'll have to look more into that and see how it happened and whatnot. But yeah, that's yeah, that's sad, man. I'd see how old he was and everything too, because yeah. Oh, he likes your shirt, Jonathan. He likes your shirt.
Thank you.
And then yeah, we'll definitely have to have you join next time. We're gonna be on next week around the same time at 6:00. We're gonna be doing the NFL schedule. We're gonna recap that for the teams. Kind of go over maybe some of the games we think could be the best games of the year, go over some of the primetime games, make some predictions. Oh, okay. I didn't know he was young. Was he still in college? But man, it sucks. Yeah, I haven't been on Twitter all day. I don't really use Twitter. But yeah, we'll definitely have to have you on. And I'll throw this one up real quick and then we'll get to the here we go. Boom. But yeah, I think he does have some upside too. I think he's turning 31 though. That's the only thing. Damn. Yeah, that sucks. That's way too young. Like, even in your 50s, that's way too young. And then, yeah, I'll have to join and watch I'll have to watch the stream tomorrow for sure. But I'm gonna throw this last one in here because we are approaching an hour. So I had it in my head and then I lost it. Real quick as we were going through. Oh, he was 28. Oh, still, yeah, that's that's unfortunate. So I'm trying to remember because the Ellinger thing really it just caught me off guard. But yeah, I mean, it's thoughts and prayers to the family. So okay, now I got it. After this whole draft and everything, based on everybody's drafts and all that good stuff, what team do you think improved enough to where they can maybe get into that Super Bowl contention, or it gets them at least closer to winning a Super Bowl? I'll start out with Jonathan on this one, and then I'll go to Jacob, and then I'll close it out. What were some teams, or just the team, if there was only one, that made the right picks that could have put them, or you think puts them in that Super Bowl contending area?
I kind of mentioned this a few minutes ago. I'm going to say it again. I think the Cleveland Browns, like, they fixed some. If you look before the draft, they don't have really need a lot of spaces or roster things to do. But once you do in the draft, they finally get their linebacker what they wanted, and also help with their second end with Gray Newsome. So I think this is going to be a team that might be more competitive than we let them to believe. Because, and we think we will see basically Stefanski will do year 2, and also this is what we're going to see. How maybe good maybe Baker Mayfield might be right here to take that next step in year 4, and our opportunity might be better than he is right now.
Absolutely. I do agree. The Browns definitely did. My thoughts on a Florida safety. I love them. I love that pick, especially where they were able to get him. He's not a first round type of safety just on, by looking at him, but he's a guy that hits hard. And I love that. It gives me that Bob Sanders vibe as far as just how he hits and whatnot. I think he's really good in coverage. He can do really good things when it comes to, that one-on-one when it comes to the ball heading towards his direction. I think he's really good at defending the pass and whatnot. I like Basham a lot, but I think if Dio can get healthy, just all the things he offers you, his length and athleticism, I think it's going to be looked at as one of the best picks of the draft. If he can get to what Ballard saw in him, because I know they took Blackman last year, and Blackman had that big injury too. And there's some people that were worried about that. We saw what Blackman did, and he was absolutely dominant. And for a while, it was either him or Chase Young for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then Chase Young just dominated. And then, the Bills and the Bears had really good drafts too. That might put them in that contention. But for you, Jacob, what were some teams that you think might have stepped into that Super Bowl contending spot, if any?
I definitely did enjoy the Colts draft, picking up Kwity Paye in the first round, and then Deo, strengthening up that defense. Because again, they were a team that didn't have a ton of needs, but there are a couple needs that they have. Really, the only one that they didn't really look into is offensive tackle, which you were saying, hey, there's still a lot of free agency left. And then another team that was just said that I was hoping would not have been said, so I could have been original. The Buffalo Bills. I did enjoy their draft too. Again, a team that does not need much. But definitely strengthening up that defensive line. First 2 picks, Gregory Rousseau, Carlos Basham Jr., great defensive linemen. Kind of wish they would have helped out the offense by getting a running back, but you do what you can do, right?
Yeah. I thought they were going to go running back, but they didn't at that first pick. But
that's because Etienne got picked up.
True. And that's the guy they wanted, apparently. But I do agree with you and Steven as well. Buffalo. Oh, there we go. Buffalo is one that I think is a team that really did improve their chances. I also agree the Bears. Now, their defense did take a little bit of a hit because they did lose Fuller. Fuller, I liked a lot. I was hoping they would have kept him, because if you could have him and then they get Justin Fields and they improve that offensive line, which, look, the fact they were able to get Jenkins, who I originally had them taken in the first round, and Justin Fields in the first 2 rounds, I don't care who you took after that. That's a great pick. And I should have mentioned them as winners of this draft if I didn't. They, definitely were winners for me. And on the linebacker, I think adding more linebackers would be great. Just like JDW said, they did take Malik Jefferson. Didn't play a whole lot when he was in Cincinnati or on the Chargers. But I think his youth, how young he is, and clearly Ballard sees something in him. I think he could be somebody that maybe could become linebacker number 3, depending on how he looks in training camp, which I believe I will be going to this year. So I'll make some content on that. For me, I agree. Colts. I think they made the right pieces where they can take that step and maybe contend because you improve your defensive line. That's something that you really needed. Adding another safety was something I think it was something we needed to do. And I love the fact that we went with Sean Davis, big hitter, like me and JD said. Reminds me a lot of Bob Sanders, just the way he hits. Hopefully, he doesn't have the injury issues that Bob Sanders had. But if he can go out there and hit like Bob Sanders, that's great, and our safety is going to be awesome. I think adding Sam Ellinger as potentially quarterback number 2 or 3, that's always a good thing. I love the receiver they drafted in the 7th round, Micah Strawn, I believe. Strawn or Strand. Big body receiver, only wasn't taken higher because he went to a smaller school, but we've seen players go to small schools and dominate, like Mr. Darius Leonard. He's a guy who's just one-on-one. Obviously, he's going to dominate him because of his height, but he's making like crazy catches. I also like Kylen Granson. I think he's going to do really, really good. So I like them. I like what they did. Cleveland's another team. I think that took that next step. And then I think that's pretty much everybody in the AFC. I think that took that step. And then NFC, if I'm going to throw a team out there that might have taken the next step, I don't know. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they had a good enough draft. They didn't need anybody, but they added to the depth and did great things. I agree. Burton is more of or Granson is like Burton but athletic. And yes, I think having Mathis helping these two guys and maybe Freeney is going to be really, really good. He might be. I love his size, the athleticism, speed that he can bring for his size alone. I love him. I love him a lot. I guess if any other team, the Bears. There's my NFC team. The Bears. So yeah, I think the Bears had to have had the best weekend ever last weekend because, for one, you get your quarterback. That could be your franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. You improve that offensive line. Aaron Rodgers might be gone. I mean, you might have had the greatest weekend for any team ever. Like, you might have gotten to the point where you could take that next step and maybe make a run. And yes, I think he does have work to do, but I think he will. I think he's going to do great. I do agree. He's going to learn from Freeney with the spin, and I think he's going to learn from Leonard as far as like his like tomahawk, his like where you like punches the ball or how he punches the ball out of receiver's hands. And Kenny Moore I think he was. I know he was undrafted, but I think he was. But yeah, I think with that being said, I think that's gonna do it for this week. We'll be back on next week for the NFL schedule. We're gonna go over that. We're gonna predict what we think maybe are gonna be the best games of the year. We're just gonna go over it all. And then of course I'll have a video for the Colts schedule when that comes out that night. Hopefully it comes out before I have to go to work. So there we go. So I'm gonna go around to everybody real quick. We're gonna start with Jacob. Jacob, where can the people find you? And we'll see you later, Steven.
Yeah, you can see me all over the place. Loving the Daniel Jones video because, again, anytime you can laugh at Daniel Jones, it's a great moment. But I do also kind of our sister channels where we started, TMG Entertainment and TMG Trivia. I'm all over the place there. I've started taking over the singles and teams trivia. So if you like movies and you like answering questions about movies, hit me up. I'll get you on the roster there.
Absolutely. And then we're going to go to Jonathan. Jonathan, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at jpet1098. And also you can find me on Instagram at Jonathan Pack. And you don't see me that much, but when I do, I was just on a few days ago at TMD playing little games with Mr. Kevin Paw, some recognizable faces. And also I wrote some questions on there. So just I can say about that. So thank you.
All right, absolutely. And of course, you can find me on this channel uploading things, of course, on the show. I will say after this upcoming I should say next week, we won't have a show like this until closer to the season, unless there's big news that comes out and whatnot. Then we'll make some stuff. But I'll probably still do some streams, just talking about whatever. But you can also find me on TMG Entertainment. I'm on After Dark. It's our hangout show we do where we talk about movies and whatnot. It could be anything. Those are on Saturdays at 9 o'clock Eastern. I'm on Cancel the Show with Alan. It's our more political show where we just kind of talk politics. And yeah, I think that's all the shows you can find me on. So thank you, everybody, for tuning into this show. It was a whole lot of fun. I've been Matt. That's been Jacob. That's been Jonathan. Bleed blue, and we'll see you next time.